Why does this happen again? Okay, the sound is on. Thank you. Why does this happen again all the time? I never change the settings. My daughter sometimes gets on my computer and she plays a game and she must have muted it. I never changed that setting. So anyway, hello and welcome. How many? Like 1 minute and 40 seconds in. Now the sound is okay. So sorry about that. Welcome everyone to this session. I just welcomed everyone. Lynn, Janet, Nicole, Tori, Desert Songs 87, Ryu, Debbie, Yumi, Andreas, Wife of the Beast, Natalia, Andreas. Okay, thank you for telling me. Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for telling me right away, because last time there was no sound for minutes. And I just always need to make sure I check that setting, because I don't ever change it. But yeah, I love the session today. I love to talk. I also love to sing, but I really do love to talk, especially when it comes to a topic that has to do with mindset and a lot of things that help you present yourself, because believe me, most of it is in your mind. And the cool thing is you can do a lot of things with your mind. It could be a huge stumbling block, but it could also help you rise to things that you never believed possible. I have seen it over and over again, that it's all in your mind. Like human beings who do unbelievable things, how come they can do it? It's not just a physical thing. It's a mind thing. It's all a mind thing. Talk to any professional athlete. It's not a matter, when you get to a certain level, it is not a matter of physical anymore. It is a matter of mind. So it's just so important. Okay. What are we going to cover today? Here's the thing. The end. Is there still no sound? Can you just all tell me if there's sound now? There should be sound now. Oh, everyone, please tell me there's sound. Tell me there's sound. Can you tell me if there's sound? Okay. Is there sound now? Yes. Is there sound? Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me? Yes? Awesome. Good. Because the mute button was on my side, but on my end, but it's off now, so I should be coming through. Okay, awesome. So here's the thing. What matters most is the fact that when you step out in front of an audience, it might be a small audience, and it might be a large audience. It might just be your teacher. It might be in the studio where there's no direct audience, but you have this thing of someone is going to listen. Natalia, you have no sound? Then that must be on your end. Everyone else seems to be hearing me. So maybe you don't have the sound turned on. If you are in the webinar room, you need to make sure you have the sound turned on that YouTube window. You can also click on watch on YouTube directly. You're not going to find it. It's not public. It's only for those who have the link. And you could maybe watch it directly on YouTube. But you can also watch it on the webinar page. You're also going to be sent a replay just in case you missed something. So you have this situation, and everyone knows what I'm talking about. You practice and you have rehearsals when you're on your own. You do your things at home. You go over your songs. You go through everything. You tweak it, and you feel pretty good about it. You are at this level where you're like, okay, it sounds pretty good. And then as soon as you step in front of people and you put that pressure on yourself, it's almost like you can't get a grip on what it is that you had before. It's like, it's gone. It's like, where did it go? Your body does a lot of things, because when you get nervous or when you have mindset blocks, you start judging yourself, you scrutinize whatever you do, you question everything. Am I even worthy? You start apologizing internally to everyone. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry about this. It worked when I was at home. The truth is, no one cares if it actually, what happened at home and what happens now. No one cares. No one even cares if you're sick. I don't mean this in a negative way. It's not like people don't care about other people. It's not. But your audience at that moment, it's like they don't care what the reason is for why whatever is happening is happening. All they can see is what they can see and hear. And that's all that matters in that moment, because they don't know all the background. And in that moment, they don't care. If they talk personally to you, they're like, yeah, okay. But in this, you have to tell yourself your audience doesn't care about the circumstances. All they can see, all they should care about is the outcome. And I want to help you today to get the best possible outcome, to be able to replicate those things that you can do when you're on your own. Now, probably most of you will not rise beyond, like do even better in front of an audience than they would when you're like all on your own and practicing in peace and when you think no one can hear you. We all know this. Like you think no one can hear you, you do all these things vocally and you're bold. As soon as you feel like someone hears you, not the same. It's almost like you get all tense. You don't sing out as loud. You feel like, I don't know, does it sound good? Here's my question. When a violin student practices, does that sound good? Are they embarrassed? No, they're not embarrassed. So you shouldn't be embarrassed as a vocalist. Like not everything sounds good when you practice. That's the nature of practice. When you practice, it's supposed to be a practice. And there are things that aren't going to sound good. You're going to experiment. You're going to try out things. What works, what doesn't work. And guess what? You have to do the things that don't work in order to figure out the things that do work. So it will sound funny and sometimes really screechy, out of context. But if you know the context, it all makes sense, you know, what we do vocally. But I want to help you today. So let me actually get started. The first thing and in order to set the stage, ask yourself, do the expectations align? Now, here's what I mean. Hold on just a second. This basket bothers me now. It bothers me. I don't know. I don't like that in the picture. So, first of all, you have your own expectations. Your expectations are what you expect. And I'm asking you, whenever you find yourself in these situations where you are nervous, when you're on stage or in front of an audience, or you know the pressure is on to deliver. Now, show me what you can do. Sing. What do you feel like? Does that? Hold on, let me just my phone on. Don't disturb, otherwise it's gonna buzz. What is your expectation? Do you already expect yourself to fail at some level? What do you expect? Do you expect your audience to feel negative about you? Do you expect, maybe you expect something that is completely unrealistic and then you're just very disappointed because you're expecting this voice or this performance that isn't actually who you are. You're expecting maybe something you saw someone else do. You saw a YouTube video of an artist and they were amazing. And that's what you expect from yourself, but you have to be realistic. So sometimes we have really high expectations that are unrealistic, but sometimes we also have very negative expectations that are also unrealistic. Ask yourself, am I expecting too much or am I playing myself down? What are your expectations? What am I expecting of my audience? Am I expecting them to hate what I do? That's got to be really hard to convince yourself of like, oh, I think they're loving it, which then will just destroy your performance when you tell yourself all the time, I think they're hating it. It destroys it because human beings, they're empathic. They smell that 10 miles away when you have doubts about whatever you're doing. You have to have that confidence when you step on stage. So those expectations, setting those expectations and asking yourself, what am I expecting? What is my expectation? And then asking yourself, what does my audience expect? Here's what they expect. And this might be a shock, but they do not expect perfection and they do not expect Celine Dion because you're not Celine Dion. If they expected Celine Dion, they would have bought a ticket to a Celine Dion concert. When you step out, they don't expect anyone but you. You might be in a situation where no one has an idea who you are. But it doesn't matter. When you step out there, it's you. And no one expects anyone else except the one that they see right now. So get off this horse of, oh, they have all these lofty expectations. Maybe that's not true. Here's what they expect. Anyone, like whether it's a large audience or a small audience or judges or your teacher or in the recording studio, the only expectation is that you be fully yourself in the most authentic way, and you do the best you can do with what you have at your disposal, with the tools that you have. No one expects you to do any more or less, just to do what it is that you can do with what you have at this time, being fully yourself. And that's all you can do. That's the only thing you can deliver. It's the only thing you could ever live up to. And it's the only thing that anyone could expect, because anything else would be unrealistic. You're not going to be Beyonce, but Beyonce isn't going to be you. And it's, when it comes to music and singing, there is a level of this is really great and maybe this isn't so polished. But we could argue there have been very famous personalities, whether it's in the singing world or in other spaces, very famous people who performed in front of large audiences, who maybe they were not technically the best, but they let their personality shine through. So Florence Foster Jenkins is a classic example. If you don't know her, look it up. There's even a movie with her. I haven't watched it, but I've seen longer clips from it. And Meryl Streep plays the lead role. And it's just amazing because Meryl Foster, why am I saying Meryl? Mary Foster Jenkins. She loved to sing opera. She was very sick. Her husband was extremely wealthy. Rich man. And he just made it possible for her. He paid for the best voice teachers in the world. And he made it possible to where she would perform in front of audiences with a professional pianist and all. And she got really famous, not because she was the most amazing singer, actually because she was so bad. But she still stood in front of an audience. And actually, when you watch that movie, that story, what you really learn from that is the reason why she mesmerized her audiences. Why did anyone come to a performance where, listen to her singing The Queen of the Night? They have original recordings on YouTube too. Listen to this. It's not because she was the greatest singer. She was not. She was probably one of the worst singing that aria ever. The Queen of the Night aria, Der Höllenrache. It was painful if you just from a musical standpoint, but you know what? She was inspiring because she loved singing so much. She was so dedicated to studying and not giving up. And that's what inspired people. Why would anyone come to her concert? Because she was an inspiration. She would not give up. She pressed through, and that was an inspiration. So just to say, you don't have to be the best. You just have to be you, and you have to be able to be authentic and to step out there and to be clear about the expectations. Like, only you expect of yourself to give the best with whatever you have. You don't have Beyonce's voice. You don't have Diana Damrau's voice. She's a very famous singer. She's one of the best versions of the Queen of the Night aria. Florence Foster Jenkins. Look her up. Watch the movie. And you'll have a new perspective on performing in front of audiences. So, what is the expectation, but what is the reality of it? Ask yourself that. I have to move on because there are a lot of points to cover. So the next thing is like, what what does your audience really want? Why? So they're taking time to come and watch you. Whether it's, sometimes there are concerts where you're just part of the concert. So probably no one came to the concert just because of you. What if you have a choir concert and you have a solo there, or maybe you're part of like several artists. I have a concert coming up in October. Again, we do this we normally do it every 2 years. It's for a good cause. But we haven't done it for a few years because of COVID, but now it's the first year we're coming back. And it's all amazing artists, but no one's going to come to that concert just because of me, because I'm only part of it all. They're coming because of the concert, because of the cause, and because of it's going to be amazing concert and like awesome music. But they don't come because of me. It's not my name that's attracting everyone. But what do they want? What do people want? People who attend a concert or who listen to a CD, for that matter, or even when you step out in front of judges, when you're like doing an audition or a competition, it's the same. I'm just going to use audience as a general description of anyone that you would sing to. What is their desire? Their desire is, here's what they want. They want to forget everything else. They want to have these few minutes while you are performing to where they're completely sucked into the story that you're singing about. And it is your story in that moment. And they're not thinking about, oh, that pitch was wrong. Oh, that was not good. Even if here it is, even Florence Foster Jenkins, no one really focused on it anymore because it was useless. It's like because basically most pitches were off. But that wasn't the point. She was like so dedicated and she believed in it so much to where you became part of her world. You became part of her world. And that's what your audience wants. They want to become part of your world. And they want to feel like, yeah, I'm living through this with you. And any song that was ever written and that ever will be written is about human feelings and how we navigate through life, whatever it is. A lot of times it's a love story, whether it's a fulfilled love story or an unfulfilled love story. It could be about heartbreak. It could be about the joy of love, all these different aspects, but it also could be about like any aspect that's a human aspect. Songs are very psychological. It's never just about, I'm walking down the street. It's never just about telling a story about actions. It's about the feelings and what the meaning of it all. That's what everything is ever about. Every song, all the music, because we wouldn't need music if it were just about like, now he walked down the street and he sat down. That is not what it's about. Okay. So, the concert in October, I'm going to have to put the link down. I hope you all can see. It's, you just Google it or this is the URL, was uns am Herzen liegt.org. It's a German word, but it means what is close to our heart, what is dear to our hearts.com. And because every artist is going to sing songs that have like a dear meaning to them. And it's for children. The cause, we're collecting money. Last time we raised more than, I think, 22,222 euros we raised last time. It's for a hospital. They have a program where they treat children who have cancer. And they go to their homes instead of them always having to hang out at the hospital. And they need like very expensive equipment in order to have like a mobile care thing. And our entire group of singers and musicians, we have gone to that hospital. We have met some of those children. One of the children, her dad is really helping us a lot and he connected us. She has passed away since, very sadly, but her dad is always there every single year supporting us. And it's an amazing cause. If you are in Germany or close to Germany, attend our concert. I don't know the date right now, but it's on the website. And there are also tons of videos on that website of the previous concerts. We always have like some professional videographers there, and they make a really nice video recording of it all. Okay, moving on. The desires of your audience. It's just so important to remember that everyone who's watching you and who's listening to you, they're all human beings and they want to empathize with you. They just want to know, when you make yourself vulnerable and you show that you are vulnerable, don't build up that wall. Don't try to be perfect or like not let anyone get to you. Even with all the imperfections, let the walls fall, be vulnerable. And you don't be vulnerable by apologizing. That's not vulnerable. That is a big no-no. That's a huge no-no. Thanks, Mariana. That's a huge no-no when you apologize. Don't apologize for whatever it is that you're doing, because here's what it feels like to your audience. When you apologize, like, oh, I'm really sorry, my voice isn't really working today. Like, I've had this problem, or like, I'm not 100% healthy, or whatever it is. Don't apologize, because when you apologize, basically you're telling your audience you're not taking them seriously. It's like, oh, it sucks, but it's okay for you. It's enough for y'all. That's not what you want to communicate. And don't feel like that. You have to really address that mindset of being apologetic. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's probably going to suck and it's going to hurt. It doesn't sound good. I'm so sorry. Everyone can see it in you and hear it when you have that attitude. When you step on stage, it's not the time to fix anything. You're not going to fix anything. That's your homework. It's over. You cannot tweak your technique right now. You step on stage, you leave all that behind and trust in, this is where I'm at today. This is what I have to work with today. I'm going to give my best with what I have today. And your audience just desires for you to enjoy sharing what it is that you have to give today. Not in 3 years, not in 5 years. Oh, when. And here's the thing. Don't procrastinate either. Don't procrastinate to get in front of an audience just because you feel like, oh, it's not perfect yet. But when I do this, then I'm gonna, when I can do the C5 and chest voice and belt it, then I'm gonna do a concert and sing this song. Pick a different song, pick a different key. You can always perform. And the more you get in front of an audience, the better it's gonna be. So this is actually really, let's see. Your brain is really interesting because we are wired to have responses that are really natural, that are going to save us, right? We don't want to die. We want to be safe. So when you're someone who's extremely nervous in front of an audience and you literally shiver and shake, can't breathe to that level, you have to trust in the fact that a fight or flight response is not going to last forever if you're going to get yourself in that situation repeatedly and nothing really terrible happens and you even get positive feedback. Eventually your body's going to, or your brain is going to learn it's actually not that dangerous. But you have to be open in your mind, with your mind. You have to be open and kind of, for me, I always have told myself, and I can tell you that it has worked like a charm. I have always told myself, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to enjoy this. And you know what? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I just trust in what I have right now. And I'm just going to enjoy myself. And you know what? I have gone to oh my goodness, I've done some auditions where, like really important auditions. And I can tell you that every time when I stepped out there and I had this mindset of, oh my goodness, I have to be really good. It's so important. I really want to get this part. I want to get this role. I need this job. That did not work. Whenever I went out there thinking, I don't really care about the outcome, whatever. And if they don't like me, there's nothing I can do about it. It's not because I'm bad. It's just because it's not their cup of tea. But I don't care. It's like, I'm just going to come here and be fully myself and do what I enjoy. I'm just going to enjoy it. And if they enjoy it, that's great. And if they don't, that's not because of me. I'm not going to take it personally. They just didn't like it. And there's actually some really funny stories about Renee Fleming. She did so many auditions and she was rejected over and over again. She was rejected everywhere. They told her, you don't have a voice. That's not good. It's just not going to happen. And you know what? She became one of the greatest sopranos ever. And just to tell you, like, voice is just, it's a matter of taste. Like, some people love a voice and the next person doesn't. So whenever you audition, when you can't please everyone. It's really important to remember. When I do YouTube videos, I always remember, or when I send out an email, we've been sending out a lot of emails the past few months, my team and I, because here's the thing, I'm running a business. It's not just, I'm not lollygagging. I'm thinking about the person who really wants what I have to offer. So I'm going to have to send these emails out to tell people about all the things I have to offer. And you know what? If someone doesn't like it, that's good. I mean, there's an unsubscribe button on the bottom of every single email that goes out. You get emails from me if you're here. There's a little link, unsubscribe, and that's good. I don't take it personally if someone unsubscribes. I do it all the time. Yesterday, I unsubscribed from 3 email lists because I subscribed. I was interested for a while, and then it no longer applied. It wasn't anything that was important to me anymore. And so I unsubscribed. Doesn't mean I hate the person or like what they're doing is wrong. It's just not what I need anymore. And so that's why I'm sending out emails. But the point I'm making is you cannot please everyone all of the time. You have to be okay with the fact that there will be people that are absolutely going to love you. They're like, oh my goodness, you're the best. This is exactly what I've always wanted to hear. Oh my goodness, it's so awesome. I can't help it. And then there are those who are going to be like, oh my goodness, that was obnoxious. And you know what? Be okay with it. When I look at my YouTube comments, 99.9% of the comments are really positive or constructive. And every once in a while, there will be one that's mean or even uninformed, or someone who thinks they know a lot, but obviously they don't really know what they're talking about. Am I going to go in there and argue, or am I going to I'm going to show them, or I don't care. I don't have to prove that I'm right. It doesn't even matter who's right or wrong. Sometimes there's not even a right or wrong. It's just like, this is your perception. This is my perception. It's all legit. And so when someone watches you, if their perception is it's not their cup of tea, be okay with that. It's not like you have to hate each other. It's just like, okay, that's good. Next time, it's not what you love, go somewhere else. But you are here for those who do like what you're doing. You're here for them. And how selfish would it be if you didn't show up for them? I always think of that, sending out all the emails, doing all these webinars and live streams and videos. Are there people who are gonna hate it? Yes, there will be people who hate it. There are people who hate it. They can unsubscribe. They don't have to watch it. But that's not who I think about. I think about that person. Like, I do this all the time. I have people I follow sometimes and I binge watch them. I have a few people right now. I found this girl and I'm watching all her videos. It's not about singing. It's about mindset. And I'm like, I love exactly what she's saying. She resonates with me so much. And I'm here. You need to be here for that person. Delivered for that person who needs exactly what it is that you have. Yeah, haters are going to hate. And you know what? Actually, when someone makes hateful comments or unkind comments, I always feel like I don't have a problem. They have a problem because they are unkind. And I feel it hurts the person who's unkind so much more. Because how can you walk through life doing these things and being unkind to other people? I think that doesn't feel good. I think that is not a happy person. I don't see how it can be. I feel like happy people are usually kind and generous because why? Why would I not want to be kind and generous? It's like, but hurt people hurt people. It's very true. And haters are going to hate. Absolutely right, Monica. So show up fully for those who truly love what you have to show. And just think about that person. In business, we always say we have this perfect avatar. It's like you really have to make an image. You have to create an image of that one person who's that perfect fit for what you have to offer, that perfect customer, that perfect client. And I have an avatar. It's a very specific. It's not the teenager singer. It's the midlife or later in life singer who's passionate about taking, just discovering. Like I've always, it's the person who's always been passionate about singing, but maybe they didn't have a chance, where they just now recently started being like very focused on like, oh, I actually really want to find out, like, how far can I go with my voice? Where can I take it? I really want to learn this thing now. That's who I'm here for. So be clear about the person that you are here for. Like, who do you want to perform for? And show up for that person. So the next thing is creating a connection. In order to create a connection, is like you cannot connect to your audience if you're not connected to your song, to yourself. And if it's not your message, if whatever you're singing is not truly you and you're like not feeling it, there's no way anyone's going to feel it if you don't. If you don't enjoy it, your audience isn't going to enjoy it. So when you're standing there fidgeting and totally nervous, it's painful to watch, really. I mean, you've probably, may not even be in a singing setting, but maybe one of your children had to do like, I don't know, stand on stage and say something, and they were so nervous, and you can tell, and it's almost like it feels so much more uncomfortable for you who has to watch than for the person who actually has to do it. I always, when my students get on stage, it's almost like I'm living through it so much more than they do. Because like I know what we've talked about and what their struggles are and what their mindset is, because we've talked about it, and it's almost like I'm like, yeah, come on, you could do it. It's like it takes a lot out of me actually to see my students on stage, and so to see someone who's just confident, who's stepping into their role, who just gets out there and enjoys themselves, that's my cup. That's very refreshing, and that's exactly what I love doing. You love to come and see a performer, like you can see they're like in their element, and they're not thinking about being nervous because they don't have time. They have to do their thing. That's true. You don't want to sound dead, but you also don't want to sound worried or terrified unless your song is, you have a story to tell where you're telling everyone, I'm actually terrified. But then that's different, You have to connect to the music first. And in my recent Nail That Song bootcamp, I talked a lot about that, how you can actually connect to the music and the song and make it your own. But I'm not going to get really, really deep into that. But you have to, if you are at home and practicing and you're like, I don't really know what the song means, I'm not connecting to it. Maybe you didn't do your homework enough yet. Maybe you have to pick a different song. And if it's a song you have to sing because it's required, I do this a lot. Like this Friday, the performance I have, it's actually stuff I could pick. I mean, they had some requests, but it's really all stuff that I enjoy a lot. But sometimes I've had to sing songs where like I wouldn't pick them because they're not my cup of tea. But here's the thing. While I'm singing the song, it is totally my cup of tea, because there's a difference between listening to that song and just singing it. Because when I'm singing it, it becomes my message. It is me. It's actually kind of fun when I sing it. So you have to connect to it. And only when you connect, only when the story becomes yours and you're truly telling your story like it is your story, People aren't going to connect if they feel like it's complete BS what you're talking about, or in this case, singing about. If you're singing about the love of your life and all you're thinking about is, oh, I think they hate me, they can tell because you're not really thinking about your message then. You have to connect to it and you have to enjoy it. Again, just don't care. It's like literally you have to step out and be like, I'm just going to enjoy myself now. And that's what I always tell myself. Even my pianist and best friend, and he's been on stage countless times. He's had tons of concerts. He's always nervous. And whenever we have a concert, maybe it's the nature of playing piano versus singing. I feel like the voice is more reliable. It's just like, I just sing whatever, whenever. I don't know, like the fingers moving, I feel like there's a higher chance of hitting the wrong key, and it's very obvious versus hitting the wrong tone, the wrong pitch with my voice, which it's highly unlikely. I could be a tiny bit flat or a tiny bit sharp, but I'm not going to sing it like completely like different pitch. Like instead of a C, a B flat. I don't think I'm ever going to be that flat. And so, but whenever like we are when we are about to step out there and perform, I'm always like, oh yeah, are we going to go to dinner after this? Oh, what about this Italian place? And he's like, oh, Freya, how can you think about going to eat now? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like, we're just going to swing it. We're going to sing a few songs. We're going to do a few songs. That's going to be so much fun. And then we're going to go eat. And for him, it's this big deal. For me, it's not a big deal. It's like, it's just part of my day. And it's so much fun. I have the opportunity to share this with some people. But basically, even if there was no one there, I would do the same thing. I would just be there and enjoy myself, just like I am exactly when I'm at home practicing my songs. But even actually when I'm in front of an audience, I enjoy it even more because then there are other people living through it with me and they're connecting with me. It's almost like it's almost like you're all talking about the same story, except they're not talking, you are, but it does feel like that to me whenever I'm telling the story and I connect with my audience, like, yeah, you see, yeah, get it? You feel this too? Yeah, you feel this too. Right. Thank you. And it just feels like it's so much nicer actually when there's an audience. Like I could record videos. I do this all the time into the camera, but there's not anyone there right now that moment. I know people are going to watch those videos, but like right now, I know you all are here. I can read a few reactions, but I know that, I can actually picture you all sitting there at your screens, and it's much more fun now. And I feel that comes across. It's much more fun to talk live than it is just a recorded thing. It's like always a little stiff when no one's actually there. I feel like this is not as stiff. So you have to how do you craft an irresistible performance? How do you leave your audience longing for more? And here's the thing. Yes, you have to be at a certain level technically, because if you're very off pitch, it's just very disturbing. It's distracting and people aren't going to remember. But here's what happens. What are people going to remember? People are going to remember. They're not going to remember the sound of the song, but they're going to remember the feeling. Everyone's going to remember how they felt. So that's the most important thing. I remember many, many times actually when I went to concerts and it wasn't really when it was just perfection. Just technical perfection didn't make this impression deep inside of me that felt like something really stirred inside of me. And I remember showing a friend of mine this Dimash video that it's that French song he sings. What is it? I think it's that French song he sings where he it's one of his most watched performances ever. He's an amazing singer. No I mean, there's no question about it. But I remember this friend of mine who's also a professional musician, actually. He has a very successful band here in Germany. Very successful. They're all over the place. They fill large spaces. But I showed him, I'm like, look at this guy. Isn't that insane? And my friend, he's not, I mean, he's a singer, but not really. He's a bass player and he leads the band. And yes, he sings, but he's not like a singer. You know, they do popular music. He's not a classically trained singer or anything like to where he would like hear all this stuff. So no, is SOS the one where he sings in French? I think that might be the one. Yeah. So that's SOS. I showed him that video of Dimash. And my friend said, I don't know. It's not hitting me really deep. It's amazing. It's unbelievably amazing on a technical level. And even expressively, the guy is like so expressive. But for some reason, it's not hitting me deep. And I don't know why it did for him. But I can kind of feel like, I can't put my finger on it. But there's just something, yeah. SOS d'Intérieur en détresse. Yeah, that's the one. But there's something about that, you know, like I'm a fan. Dimash is amazing. But there's something about that to where it's, you know, just the technical perfection itself isn't really what goes deep and what leaves this impression of unforgettableness. Being unforgettable. Is that a word now? It's more, it's having the feeling that someone is truly suffering to, you know, like that song, you really have to suffer. You have to feel that the person is suffering. Now, Emma Koch, I don't know if anyone has watched her. Oh my God. You got to watch her. That girl, she's just something else. She's a young singer, and André Rieu, he kind of, you know, she's from the Netherlands, and he discovered her. I think she's from the Netherlands. She participated in this competition, and then he heard her somewhere, and he had her perform in one of his concerts, and she sang this song, Voila. And again, it's this very vulnerable story, you know, and she has that vulnerable story. She has this disease. She basically cannot eat food, and she has to be on these whatever contraptions. She's not when she's on stage, but she has this heartbreaking story. And here's the thing. I published on YouTube. You can look at it. I have a reaction / analysis of Emma Koch doing, I think it's the Voila, with Helene Fischer. Now, Helene Fischer is a very famous German Schlager singer. She's huge here in Germany, and she's an amazing singer too. But here's really Emma Koch. Like, Helene Fischer was technically more refined, but Emma Koch hit me more here, because when she sang that song, my goodness, it just drew me in, because it like I could feel that heartbreak in there in her voice, and I could see it. And she fully committed to not holding back, but she lived through it. And that's the level, like, you know, you compare these two singers, like both are amazing voices. This one lady, she is like so experienced professional singer, very famous and technically, wow. And then Emma Koch, this young girl, technically good level. I mean, she has a beautiful voice, but then there's this other level where Helene Fischer doesn't have that story when she sings the song. I feel like she learned the song, she performs it with her, and she didn't have the time to let it go very deep. For Emma Koch, that song was like, it had such a profound personal meaning to where, my God, it's like when I listen to her do that song, it's like, hit me hard. So that's the difference. And that's how you craft an irresistible performance. It's, what is the feeling? What does your audience feel? And does it go deep? And when they go home, you don't forget what you felt like. You're going to forget what it looked like, or, a lot of things you're going to forget, but not what it felt. The feeling is what lasts. It's what we're going to remember. Oh, I better hurry up because I have a lot of stuff to cover. Oh, okay. And here's the thing. When you get on stage, you have to be in the zone. Let me explain what that means to get into the zone. I touched on this. Before you step on stage, and again, that might be even just a small room. It might be a huge theater stage. Excuse me. It might just be the studio, the recording room, whatever it is. When you step in there, before the music even starts playing, you have to leave it all behind. Basically, forget everything you practiced yesterday. I mean, don't forget the song, but don't worry about all the details of the technical things and like all the problems that you worked about. This is not the time to worry about that anymore because you're not going to change anything now. You're not going to get to the next technical level right now. This is it. You did your homework. It's like taking a test in school. Okay, close your books, put it away, and now take the test. Let's see what you remember. This is it. Close the book, leave it behind, step on stage, and now all that's going to count is for you to have positive vibes. Take a deep breath and think about the music you're about to perform. Be grateful that you get that opportunity. How amazing is it to get to perform music in front of people? That is a privilege. I always feel like it's a privilege. Like they're all going to be listening to you. And maybe that's exactly what makes you nervous, but don't look at it that way. Look at it like you are in your zone. All you're doing is experiencing the music for yourself. You are going to live this story, but you're sharing it. And think of it as sharing instead of like, I'm here in front of you, and then there's my audience. There's not a wall between you. It's just you're sharing it. It's like almost like you want to take them in. In one sense, you're like in your own world, but because of that, because you're so authentically living through it and enjoying it and like so deep in it, it automatically draws human beings in. I mean, even when I'm talking now, when I could have told you about Emma Koch. Oh, she's just an amazing girl. That's something else. But just the tone I have, and it's like when I go like, oh my goodness, she hits me so deep. See how that it has a whole different effect, right? When you can see and hear it in my voice and see it in my gestures and how I show myself, that it truly touches me, it interests you more, right? If I would have just told you, oh, Emma Koch, she's a really great, she has a beautiful voice, great technical level, and her interpretation, she really connects to the piece of music. That is the same information, but it has a different meaning when you can feel that I'm feeling so much, so many feelings. It's like, my goodness, that girl, like, it makes me want to cry. It's just so amazing. See, when I talk that way, when I'm truly in it, then it just has a different tone, right? So you have to be in it. So I'm going to give you a few strategies now. What happens when you sing? Of course, you have less air. You might, some people get dry mouth, and some people have this problem with the saliva. Because you're nervous, your body reacts, and then, should I swallow one more time? It's all psychological. So here's what I suggest. Take a little drink of water before you get on stage, but this is really a mindset thing. This is just, it's going to make you crazy. I see some speakers or singers, they have a glass of water. They always have it on, like right there at the back of the stage. And they always keep drinking. Don't do it. Don't get into this habit. Basically, if there's nothing wrong with you, if you're healthy, you don't need that. It's just psychological. So don't get into this habit of using this as a crutch where you like constantly have to take a drink. Also with the swallowing and the saliva, It's just your nervousness. It's just your mind. So you have to have some calming strategies. One, I'm going to give you one, okay? One is, and don't laugh now, meditation. There are different forms of meditation, but what you can do, there are some apps where you can meditate. I think guided meditations are best for those who are not very, very experienced with meditations. For example, there's an app called Headspace. I think they have a free trial even. You could do really short ones. There are several apps. You could do even 2 minutes, because what you do want to practice is to stop your mind from running around a million thoughts. You want to learn how to calm your mind, how to stop racing around. Because when you get on stage, you just want to focus on the here and now. You don't want to focus on what are they thinking, and what happened yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen after are they going to hate it, like blah, 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 blah. All that mental talk. You want to learn how to silence these voices that run around in your head and to just be still and be. That's really hard. For someone even like me, I'm always, the wheels are always turning all the time, always having new ideas, always like, oh, I want to like, oh, this and that. Oh, and then tomorrow this, and yesterday that. Oh, I have this idea and that, blah, blah, blah. All the time. But meditation does help me train myself to where when I want to, I can't turn it off fully, but I can focus and not listen to all these voices. I can calm that mind, and that's really important. That is literally something you can train. The next thing is affirmations. I've had really good experience with affirmations, and my goodness, I wish I had the link right now. I don't have the link right handy. Let me check this if this is right. Oh, I think this is even right. Is it /affirmations? Yes. Go to masteryourvoice.tv/affirmations. It's a free download, and it's affirmations for singers. So basically, when you tell yourself, and you keep reiterating this, tell yourself all the positive things. Download those free excuse me. What is this? I drank coffee before this. These free affirmations, and it's really, really helpful to tell yourself to you want to basically brainwash yourself into believing, which it is true. You are going to be amazing. You are calm. They do love you, and you're going to enjoy it. When you tell yourself in a way that it is already, it does really help. Awesome, Andreas. You do meditation? That's great. Monroe Institute? Oh, free on YouTube. Okay, very good. I had one guided meditation that I did years ago. I only did it once. It was on YouTube and I just listened. And I love that meditation so much. It was about like you had to walk by a creek, and then in the distance, I saw my home and I saw my children play in the yard. Like it's such a happy, wonderful meditation. And it's like my happy place. Has anyone ever watched the Adam Sandler movie Happy Gilmore, where he's the golf player? Well, he has this problem that he's just very short-tempered. So whenever he gets mad, he freaks out, and he gets very violent. He's like throwing out around stuff, like basically like the bat. How do you call it? The golf club. He throws it around. He actually used to be a hockey player, and he got thrown out because of that problem. He freaked out. He basically he just threw a fit every time he got mad, and that didn't work. But then he had this coach, and he wanted to help him, and he said, "What is your happy place? Just go to your happy place." And then he pictured his grandmother, which she was the reason why he wanted to win this golf tournament, because she needed that money. Otherwise, she would lose her house. But he imagined, it's so funny. He imagined her like, I think she had like beer pitchers or something. It's really funny. Or no, someone had beer pitchers. I just remember these beer pitchers, I think. And she was throwing like a bunch of gold coins up in the air. Yeah, it's all in the hips. But that happy place, you need that happy place. And this, if you have a meditation that helps you get to this happy place where you're so calm, it can really help before a performance. I think yoga and Tai Chi is also very helpful. Like yoga, the breathing, because you take very slow and intentional breaths. You inhale and do one movement. You hold it. And then you exhale and you hold it again. It's always tied to a movement. And I feel like that's very helpful to pace your breathing connected with, like, a movement could be like a phrase, like a musical phrase, because you can kind of anticipate. It takes a while. So your breath can't be too fast. It has to flow slowly and evenly. And Tai Chi is also very great. It's to start, to really train your focus. And these are all things, even in, when I studied opera, at the opera school, someone taught Tai Chi. And no, was it Tai Chi? Was it Qigong? I think I confused that. Maybe I mean Qigong now. Tai Chi is something different. I don't know. Qigong. Qigong is that more like gentle, very, very meditative practice. Yeah. Okay. That's real fun, Tori. Thanks. Yeah. That movie was so much fun. I haven't watched it for like years, but I need to watch it again. I think with the kids one day, when my twins are a little bit older, it's going to be a fun. I think there might be a few. I think there are a couple of cuss words. Not too bad. It's just funny. So, okay, let me go through. Oh, here's the thing. Now we're going to talk a little bit about distractions. Now, there are always some elements when you're performing, you are usually in a new space. So the acoustics are different from what you're used to, and that does play tricks on your brains. The PA might be like, you can't hear yourself properly. Maybe the monitor isn't pointed in your direction correctly, or maybe the sound person isn't aware that, I can't hear the piano, or I can't hear myself, or whatever it is. And so you're always going to be thrown into situations where your brain will be like, oh my goodness, what's the sound? Where is it coming from? Because you need a reference, of course, to sing with whatever it is you're singing with the band or the piano or whatever it is, the orchestra. And I can only tell you, the more you put yourself in situations where you're singing in different spaces, even in your practice, don't practice always in the same room, practice in different spaces. That could really help you to train your brain to listen differently. And because here's the thing, whenever you, sorry, that was my daughter. Whenever you get into a situation, like I have this a lot because I have sung at so many church weddings, and every church has very unique acoustics. But I always remember every time I'm there, the first 2-3 bars, I have to really get used to it because it's all like the sound is all coming from different directions. Because every time, like it's all different depending on how the building is structured. But I feel like my brain has so much experience now, having had these situations, like all these different scenarios of acoustics, sometimes not hearing myself at all, sometimes hearing, like I had to put the speakers in front of me because of the way there was no space, or sometimes behind me or sometimes beside me, that now I can adjust so quickly. My brain adjusts. Here's the thing. Like I used to have a student, she was born with one ear. She was literally born with one ear. Like inner ear was missing completely. They did, plastic surgery to construct an ear so it doesn't look strange, but she has one ear. But she can sing and she can hear pretty much almost like any other person because the brain fills in the gaps and adjusts. And that's amazing. We have such neuroplasticity, even when sometimes part of the brain is damaged, then another part could take over. That's why people who had a stroke, usually it's the left side, they can't walk and they have to learn it again. But how is it that you can learn it again? It's because other parts of your brain can take over. It's not like it gets repaired, but you have a lot of other brain cells that can take over. So rely on that skill that your brain can actually learn with experience. The more you put yourself in these situations of being nervous, being stressed, and being in front of people, you have to crave almost like, okay, I'm going to give it to myself as much as possible. I'm going to get in this situation that is so uncomfortable because I'm totally nervous and I think I'm going to die, but I'm going to do it anyway. And you know what? After you do it over and over again, it becomes less and less of a big deal. After you've performed like 100 times and 200 times, it's not a big deal. I know that for some people it still is a big deal, but it's not really as big of a deal that it was the first and the second and the third time. And that's why I always tell my students, like, get yourself out there as much as possible. It could even be actually, I think it's harder to perform in front of just a few people, like a very small audience, than it is for a large audience. Because in a large audience, it's like not the individual. You can't really see so much the individual anymore. You see like a crowd and it becomes more anonymous. Not you become anonymous, but like the single individual person in the audience becomes more anonymous because you can't really see every single person and connect to that. But when there's one person in front of you, it's the only person you can look at. And I don't know. When I look at an audience, I always try to, well, it happens automatically. You don't have to try to, but I always connect to those in the audience who really connect with me. And you can tell, you look at them and they're like really enjoying it. And that's the person you have eye contact with and you connect with, and then it becomes fun. Don't connect with a person who's like, because they're not going to have a reaction. But don't assume that they don't enjoy it just because they're like that. I have experience that, proved to me, like, don't even assume. But you have to have strategies. Don't wear clothes that are completely out of the norm for you. That could be distractive. It's like distracting. Wearing something that is too tight, always test if you can fully inhale when you're wearing something, because you know what? Trying on a garment without fully breathing in like you would have to and singing, bad idea. I did this before. And I was like, it fits. And then I was trying to sing where when you sing, you have to expand your ribs a lot. And it's like, it is too tight. I can't really expand my ribs anymore. And I didn't realize that until I actually started, wanted to sing, and all that taking in the air didn't really work so well. Also, if you wear high heel shoes, but you never do, and it's really strange, your posture might be different and you might feel so weird about it. And that's a huge distraction. For me, oh my goodness, like the pedal, I usually accompany myself with a pedal. No, with a piano, and the pedal is attached to the piano. It's connected. So I don't know, like now I have this setup where it can't go anywhere. I put the cord once across between the left and the right, like the keyboard stand, and the pedal can't go anywhere. But I remember before I had that figured out, I had a bunch of performances where I sang at this. I remember being at that, it was like a christening, like a child baptism. And that pedal kept sliding because that floor was like, those tiles were so smooth. And it was just like, oh no. I just kept having to get it back. And that was such a distraction. I still did really well, but it was horrible. I hated like being distracted because of the stupid pedal. And those could be factors that really distract you, that take your focus off what really is important. So make sure, like sometimes it could even be earrings. When you wear when you wear a headset, there are certain earrings that don't work because they're going to make a noise. And so you don't want to be stuck in this situation where like, oh, I can't move my head because it's going to clunk. That's not good. That is going to take your focus off of the performance. That's going to be awkward. So try to get all the distractions away. Just take them away. And the last thing is you have to take a leap of faith. Okay? Believe in yourself enough. And yes, it is uncomfortable sometimes. And sometimes you have to just kick yourself in the booty and say, oh, if I want to get anywhere in life, I'm just going to have to do it. I know. I feel like, what did I get myself into? You know, like my performance is about to come up and it's like, why did I say yes? And I know that feeling. I've had that before even where I'm like, oh no, why did I get myself into this now? Now I'm going to have to do it. I would rather do something else now. I want to be in a hole. Not literally, I didn't want to be in a hole, but I know what it feels like. You're like, oh my goodness, now I have to do it. Please no, make it go away. It happened to me, not with singing, but with other things. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But here's the thing. After you've done it, it feels amazing. It's like, you've done it. Congratulations. Tap yourself on the shoulder and be proud of yourself that you've done it. And I feel like there is a level of addiction that we could get into. Like, like performing and having that rush of hormones, it is almost like a drug. It's not an unhealthy drug. Maybe it could be unhealthy, but wanting to perform more, I don't know if that's unhealthy, but it's everyone I've ever talked to who was in this situation of they performed and then the performance was over. They had rehearsals, they worked hard, and then the performance was over and there was nothing else coming up. It's almost like, what am I doing now with my life? It's empty. I have nothing to work toward. Oh, I want it back. I want the rehearsal period back. Everyone I've ever talked to really had that. Hey, Mariana. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your kind words. So everyone here now, if you want to dive deeper and you want to continue developing your mindset, which is so important. I can't stress it enough. As a singer, your mind is very important. It's like an athlete too. Athletes, they don't just do physical work. They do a lot of mindset work, strategy, mindset. If you want to dive deeper, while also learning more about singing technique and the cool opportunity to connect with a bunch of singers from all over the world who kind of have the same problems and the same issues and the same anxieties. It feels much better when you have someone else who kind of knows exactly what you feel like, because they're like, oh, you too? Oh, I guess I thought I was the only one. I thought I was the weird one. You're not. There are others who are exactly going through the same thing. And it feels really good to be surrounded by people who are like, oh, you get it. You totally get it. Yes. I have a really special deal for you. We are running it's not quite the 29th yet, but tomorrow is going to be the 29th of February, which only happens every 4 years. So it's very special. So we are giving you 29% off the monthly or yearly fee of the online singing school. My online singing school is the place where you can just basically access all the aspects that you want to learn about singing, including my course, Conquer Your Stage Fright, where I go a little deeper in some of those areas that I just talked about today. It's 12 videos, 12 lessons. Not only that, you also get access to Back to Basics, more than 70 videos that are not on YouTube or publicly available. Also, how to sing opera if you're into classical music. Mastering pop ballads. That's another course I created. Music theory for singers. And a bunch of others. I have a lot of mindset stuff inside of the online singing school also. You're going to enjoy all those lessons. And 29%. Go to masteryvoice.tv singing school and only today and tomorrow. For you today already. We actually wanted to do it on the 29th, and I thought like it would be a waste to not tell everyone here now about this deal. And actually my assistant came up with that 29% off. I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of a cool idea. I didn't come up with that. But I always want to help more people get into my online singing school because I think the world needs more singing people. Singing is therapeutic for you and for your audience. It can be if you let it, if you do it right. I enjoy it so much. Right now, I'm still running my opera class, which sadly is going to wrap up very soon. But it's so much fun to connect and to get to know all the singers. And thank you, Tori. Are there any more questions about anything that we talked about today? And I would definitely love to see some of you on the inside of the program. I know some of you who are here are actually in there, but I would love to see you in there. We also have I forgot to mention, we have a monthly group coach, and I answer all of your questions. You can have a little coaching session with me. I give you feedback, personal feedback. But if you can't be there live, you can also send in an email with a clip attached or like a link to a clip that I can watch, and then in the meeting I can address it and I'll give you feedback, because I realize, it's at 2:30, always the first Wednesday of the month we meet, and you can get personal feedback. And I have another thing. One person always, every month, one member wins a 20-minute one-on-one coaching session with me. The most active member in the community wins that. So I just had a session today with someone who won it last month. So it was kind of fun. All right. Any questions? And also, by the way, there's also an accountability session. Crystal does that. CJ, our singing journey guide, she does a meeting that's all about holding you accountable and goal setting. She helps you with getting the things done that you want to get done. And we also have a monthly planner, which it's going to be on Amazon soon, but all the members of the online singing school have access to it. It's a monthly planner for singers where step by step, it's really cool because it's not really teaching you the things, but it's telling you today, this is what you can work on today. And it's divided up in 3 areas. So there's the technical aspect, there's the music theory aspect, and then there's the performance and, on stage kind of aspect, mindset, all that. All right. Norlisa, I've learned so much from you in this session. I really look forward to learning more from your videos and beginning to apply it. Awesome. Thank you, Norlisa. Songs for You says, I was very busy with the kids. I totally forgot to look. Is there a replay? Yes, you will be sent the link. I think my assistant put the link in the follow-up email that you're going to get. Lynn, thank you. You have really enjoyed the session. Awesome. Debbie, I'm a 59-year-old. Oh, okay, this is it. I'm going to have tired eyes if I don't do this now. Ah, yes, this is much better. It's like 0.5 strength, but yeah, this is what you get when you read. Untrained choir singer who just had my first audition. I should have listened to this a few weeks ago. Thanks for, yeah. Well, it's never too late. Even if you don't come to an audition next time you do a performance or a solo or anything, I think it really does help you just to kind of have these things on your radar and try to think about this as you go about your singing, practice and all that. Hey, Rachie Soprano. Okay, awesome. Yeah, you're answering back to Andre. Yes, music connects us all in beautiful ways. That's true. Very true. Thank you, Mariana. Bless you too. Okay, we're going to wrap it up. It's been like an hour and 15 minutes. Again, I would love to see you all. I always read these names on the screen, and I would love to see you in one of my meetings of the online singing school. And again, if you do the monthly, there's no commitment to monthly. But you can take 29% off for life. As long as you remain a member, you can keep those 29% off. And as long as you want to be in there. If you want to, you can cancel any time after every month is over. If you take the yearly, you can take the 29% off the yearly. But then, of course, you're buying 1 year. But if you want to renew for another year, you keep the 29% off. Oh, Tor, you have a performance coming up? Okay. A couple weeks, and this has been helpful. That's great. Yeah, internalize it. Maybe watch it again. And Kathy has an audition tonight. Okay, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So yeah, just enjoy it. Do your best with what you have today. So, and don't be fixated on the outcome. It is what it is, right? You just want to have the feeling you did your best. And if that's not good enough for the people who are whatever, who are auditioning, it's not like there's something wrong with you or your voice, okay? Don't ever take it personally. Think about Renee Fleming. She was rejected over and over again. And she's amazing. Amazing people have been rejected. The Beatles were rejected. The Beatles were so rejected. Nobody wanted to have them. It's like, no, this is not good. And look how successful they got after that. So yeah, don't take it personally. Awesome. Okay. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I will see you soon, and I hope to see you on the inside. Bye.